2 minutes till broadcast. One minute till broadcast.
What's up, guys? Welcome into it. Hey, happy Monday. Back at it, man. Ready to set the tone for a whole new week. There is plenty to talk about. We'll recap over the weekend. We have government shutdown, at least until tomorrow. We have Epstein file dumps. We have Mom Donnie that's doing some crazy stuff. So, you know what? We got plenty to cover for sure. Also, Brian Festa will be on the program. He's a civil rights attorney and founder of We the Patriots USA. We'll have him on at the bottom. We'll talk about the vaccine schedule update and so much more. Make sure to like it out, share it out, leave that comment, break the algorithm. Let's do this thing for a Monday here. Hang tight.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Begin transmission.
Broadcasting from the heart of the nation, the next generation in conservative talk radio. This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Why, yes, it is. What is up, my friends? Welcome into it. It is your Monday, setting that tone for a whole new week. We're also into the month of February. That kind of blows my mind. Did not realize that January would fly by that quickly. It is great to be back behind the microphone. Took a couple days away for not just for a vacation, but it was actually a very busy, very exhausting weekend. It was a lot of fun. I had more fun than I have in a very long time doing some stuff. It was great here in Kansas. Our official state Republican Party convention of 2026, kicking things off for the election season. That was a blast. Got to moderate the first governor's debate here in the state of Kansas. That was on Friday afternoon, and boy, oh boy, hopefully for those listeners here in the Kansas area, got a chance to enjoy that one. It was a great honor. Had a lot of fun. We'll break that down here in just a minute. First and foremost, welcome back into it. It's a Monday. It's the Voice of Reason. I'm Andy Hooser, doing the thing like we do every single day.
Do it live!
Right here on the program with so many great radio affiliates across the nation. That's the way we roll, my friends, and it was a great weekend indeed. Yeah, hopefully you are ready for Valentine's Day next week. Hint, hint, wink, wink for all those guys out there that may forget about that one. That's your little warning for you. Your week and a half warning and reminder to go get something for that special someone and have some fun. All right. Brian Festa will be on the program bottom of the hour. He's a civil rights attorney and founder of the We the Patriots USA organization. We'll have him on. We're going to talk about the childhood vaccine schedule being moved, some of the state health departments that are pushing back, and what does it mean? Are we going far enough with reforming vaccine mandates in this nation? We'll get to some of that and more. So took a couple days off. Hat tip to our friend Mark Walters, host of Armed American Radio, covering our syndicated program on Saturday and filling in for us. It was a lot of fun to step away from. I hate stepping away from the microphone because the radio show is number one priority for me, but we had a blast this weekend. So those here in Kansas, we had, and I believe nationwide, Kansas was probably the first political convention of the year. I know that CPAC's around this time. I believe CPAC got moved to March this year. I also know that other state Republican parties are probably planning their Republican conventions here soon, talking to the candidates, getting their candidates' names out there. I believe we were probably the first ones in the nation to do it. We were also probably, at least that I've heard, one of the first to have a governor's debate for their candidates going into their midterm season of the year. We had 6 candidates on stage, and I got to give a huge prop to the state Republican Party here in Kansas because they pretty much said, Andy, do your thing. Well, it's no pressure at all, right? No pressure. But they said, Andy, do your thing. And I worked, obviously, with a committee. We had a committee on setting the rules for the debate. We had a bunch of people that oversaw what I was doing to make sure it was right. But, I mean, the presentation, the graphics that we had, the layout it was going to look like, the media coverage, so on and so forth. We organized that, and it was, I will admit, probably the most emotionally and mentally draining thing I have ever done in the political realm, but in a good way. Because I love it. Absolutely loved it. It was probably one of the coolest experiences I've had to moderate a governor's debate. And the goal of the moderator is to ask good questions, make sure it flows properly, and at the end of the day, not have people talking about the moderator, but talking about the candidates on how they responded to particular issues. And so I think we did that. I hope that everybody did get to enjoy it and got to go back and listen to some of those responses. But I want people to talk about the candidates, not about how bad the moderator was or the kind of questions they ask. We tried to cover the platform, cover as many of the topical issues out there as possible, and let the candidates really just explain who they are to introduce themselves to a lot of the voters here in the state. So I think it overall went very great. And to be in that kind of position, you know, the learning experience of watching the time and making sure we're on track and following up questions and making sure everybody gets their time to respond if they get mentioned. It was a very interesting process. It was really cool. So I loved it. A lot of fun. We'll do it again soon. In fact, I believe I may be moderating the majority of the Republican debates here in Kansas. I don't know, but by golly, it was a blast, and I look forward to doing that again. And then, of course, got to MC a lot of the other stuff throughout the convention this weekend. So busy. And again, hat tip to Mark Walters, Armed American Radio, filling in for us on the Saturday's big broadcast. We appreciate that very much, my friend, and we'll be back at it again this week. All right, that being said, as we were going through our convention, there was also some hubbub going on in Washington, D.C., if you haven't heard.
What's trending today?
We are into government shutdown 2.0 for the Democrats in this session alone. By session, I mean the reconvening of Congress as of October of this past year, where we had the month and a half long shutdown. And now the Democrats are trying to, I guess, rebuild themselves, trying to redeem themselves, trying to prove that they still have some political power somewhat in Washington, and it sounds like they're actually kind of winning. So if you've missed it, we went into Saturday. Our U.S. Senator U.S. Senator Roger Marshall from Kansas was supposed to be at our Republican convention, wasn't able to make it because of these votes in this shutdown. They voted on a reformed appropriations bill for the Department of Homeland Security and has now sent it back to the House of Representatives. Hakeem Jeffries has now said he's not going to work with Republicans. Democrats are not going to vote for this in the House because they just want to be a bunch of jerks. And that's really what it comes down to. We're going to ram it through, and I hope we do ram it through, but they tweaked the bill in the Senate, and for some reason, Republicans allowed them to tweak the bill in the Senate, and I'm not okay with that. Not okay with that. According to what's going on, what we've heard is that they have now separated portions of the Department of Homeland Security away from the rest of the appropriations bills. That way, the DHS is the only portion that's not being funded, and therefore the rest of the government can function, but this is the only part that's not, while we reform because they want to defund ICE out of the bill. And first off, shame on Republicans in the Senate for allowing that type of negotiation. That's completely ridiculous. I'm sorry, we're in the majority. You do not get to dictate what this bill looks like. And if you don't want to vote for Department of Homeland Security, if you don't want to vote for ICE, you can keep the government shut down and see how well that works out for you. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. I don't understand why Republicans have allowed their political capital to be diminished while Democrats get to dictate what's going on just because they don't allow the filibuster supermajority. I think it's time. And I know that Republicans in some fashion were not wanting this to happen. I think it's now time for Republicans to pass the end of the filibuster and ram through the Republican agenda in the Senate, because right now we are not getting the ability to codify the Trump agenda. We are not getting done what we said we were going to get done. We're not allowing it, and Republicans are frustrated. Hence the special election that we saw in Texas with the state Senate seat that we'll get to in a minute, and why after a district that won Trump's deep red district by 17 points went to a Democrat this past election. That's not okay. That's not okay. And for a deep red district in Texas, that should be a wake-up call to what we could potentially see in midterms this year when Democrats in the minority traditionally do well already, And we're trying to not let that happen. We're trying to not make the last 2 years of a Trump administration a stagnant, just do nothing administration, because he has to work with Democrats that hate him and want to impeach him, want to remove his cabinet members, want to do everything they can to try and stop Donald Trump from finishing his agenda. That's a major problem. So Republicans, you got to get on board. You have to start acting, and you have to start acting really, really fast. I mean, codifying just about every executive order Donald Trump passed last year. I mean, getting the economy back on track, ending the Federal Department of Education, releasing every document for Epstein. I know this weekend we saw, 3 million documents or something that was released from the Department of Justice. We need to start seeing arrests of individuals, going to jail, going into court, doing something. We want action. I know that we've been saying we're in this transition, and it's been a good transition, and we are moving in the right direction slowly. And I think this year we could see the quote-unquote golden age of America, but that's only one aspect. The FBI under Kash Patel has done some great job arresting a lot of individuals by catching 4, 5 out of the top 10 most wanted on the FBI list in less than a year. That's a great success. We should be applauding that. We're seeing a lot of reforms in the Department of Health and Human Services with RFK Jr., reforming the food pyramid, reforming our vaccine schedule. We're moving in the right direction, but there are some ends here where all of that's been done on the administrative side and been done by the Trump administration. Where's Congress? We want Congress to act. We need to see some progress coming out of Congress to codify everything that's happening right now, or else it's all for nothing. We'll be able to do it for a year or two. We'll feel really good about it. And then by the time Trump gets out of office, God forbid we have a different Democrat president here soon, then they're going to reverse everything and we're back to square one. Republicans, if you want to win, we gave you the opportunity. It may be slim, but we gave you the majority in the House. It may be slim, but we gave you the majority in the Senate. Do something. I don't know why that's so difficult. And for allowing Democrats to break apart this appropriations bill and send it back to the House is kind of, in a way, allowing them to dictate what's happening in Congress when they're in the minority. Speaker Mike Johnson said it on Sunday morning, talking about what the next step is, and says we probably won't see the government reopen until tomorrow and Tuesday.
Well, let's say I'm confident that we'll do it at least by Tuesday. We have a logistical challenge of getting everyone in town, and because of the conversation I had with Hakeem Jeffries, I know that we've got to pass a rule and probably do this mostly on our own. I think that's very unfortunate. Here's what's happened. You know, the House and Senate appropriators worked very well together, bicameral, bipartisan, committee-led process, especially after the 43-day shutdown, the longest in U.S. history last fall. No one wanted to put that pain on the American people again. The Democrats forced it. We were insistent that we would not allow that to happen. But, you know, I tip my hat to everybody, appropriators in both parties who got this together. After the Senate acted over the weekend, we will now have 11 of 12 separate appropriations bills approved by both chambers. Because they modified our package, they've sent it over a little differently, which means we've got to address the bills again. So they're going to separate the Department of Homeland Security bill. Our intention is by Tuesday to fund all agencies of the federal government except for that one, and then we'll have 2 weeks of good faith negotiations to figure it out.
All right. So 2 weeks of good faith negotiations. Do you really think Democrats are going to negotiate in good faith? Do you really think that's going to happen? I highly doubt that's going to happen. Their goal, which they openly said, Chuck Schumer said it on the floor, Hakeem Jeffries is now backing it up because he thinks he's relevant to some degree in this conversation. They say they want to defund ICE. Period. End of story. Originally, they tried to cut back on ICE funding, force them to change their uniforms, force them to not wear masks because apparently they like having them doxxed. They like having threats against their families. They like having threats against these individuals. California said that, according to Eric Swalwell, that if he gets in the office of the governor of California, that if he gets in there, he's not going to allow any company or the state government or anybody to hire ICE officers. So he's encouraging them to walk away from that job because there is a retaliation going against people that are enforcing federal immigration law, and Democrats are truly the definition of terrorism, using political threats, physical harm or otherwise, for a political purpose. That is what's happening among the Democrat ranks right now. They want to defund ICE just like they wanted to defund law enforcement and defund the police movement a few years ago. They said that never happened somehow, but we have them on record saying it, so that's kind of strange. But now they're doing it against ICE, and they're doing it now by defunding ICE. Republicans are supposed to be the ones that defund certain administrative organizations and certain government entities, not the Democrats. But that's what they're doing. And they split that apart among the appropriations bill with the Department of Homeland Security funding, and now that's gone back to the House. And Republicans in the Senate, for some reason, allowed that to happen. And it's really pathetic. We've lost. That's a big L. That is a big W for them, thinking that they have some type of political power. And again, one more time, a major loss. So now it's back in the House, and we have to figure out what to do to temporarily fund the government for 2 weeks and then figure it out. What's the figure out? Ram it down their throats. It's time. End the filibuster. You know the Democrats would end the filibuster when they get a chance. They've done it before because they understand the political force they have to ram things down our throat, and we take it, end the filibuster, ram our entire agenda down, refund ICE the way it needs to, put back the original bill, and be done with it. End of story. There is a bright side to this, though, and we'll get to that when we come back around the corner for your Monday here on The Voice of Reason, setting that tone. Lots to get to.
This is The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
When America builds, the world follows. Our energy powered the 20th century. We've set the standard for generations, and we never waited for permission. But now, we're being held back. Outdated rules, endless delays. Without permitting reform, Washington's red tape is slowing us down while other nations race ahead. It doesn't have to be this way. We can clear the way for energy that's affordable, reliable, and built right here. Because what's built here is felt here. Lower costs, more jobs, stronger communities. That's what permitting reform makes possible. Energy didn't just shape our country, it powered the American dream. And with our innovation, we can lead the 21st century. Congress has a choice. Build America's energy future or risk falling behind. Tell Congress, pass permitting reform now.
Miss any part of the show? Well, don't worry. Now's your chance to go find the podcast and listen to as much of The Voice of Reason as you'd like. As the show continues to grow all across the nation with great radio affiliates, we also continue to grow as one of the top conservative podcasts, ranked 5th on the MillionPodcast.com Best 50 Conservative Leadership Podcasts in the nation, and number 1 on FeedSpot.com's 30 Best Conservative Talk Shows in the country. The show continues to grow each and every day. Just find us on any of your favorite podcasting sites at The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser. Hey, did you know that you can have multiple different networks on one single smartphone? Well, with Patriot Mobile, you can. It's time for you to sign up for the Patriot Mobile primary phone plan with plans as low as $15 a month, where you can have 2 numbers and 2 networks on one single phone. And right now, if you sign up using the promo code REASON, you can get an entire month absolutely free. It's the Patriot Mobile One plan. 1 phone, 2 numbers, and 2 networks. And it's all at patriotmobile.com/reason. Again, patriotmobile.com, and use the promo code REASON.
What fuels the freedom to dream bigger? How did 2 guys in a cramped California garage reimagine the phone and put the power of the universe at our fingertips? At Americans for Prosperity, we believe greatness can happen anywhere. We just need freedom and the opportunity to make it real. But today, with a rigid system stifling progress, limiting creativity, and holding us back. That's why at AFP, we offer solutions that tackle the most critical challenges facing our country, so there's nothing standing in the way of America's next breakthrough. Because what we build today doesn't just shape the future, it defines it. How will you be defined? Take your first step today with Americans for Prosperity.
When you choose Patriot Mobile, you're not just picking a wireless provider. You're choosing a company that shares your values. It's easy to switch, and you can keep your number, your phone, and most importantly, your values. With Patriot Mobile, you get the power of nationwide coverage on all 3 major networks. That means wherever life takes you, we've got you covered on the same reliable networks you already know and trust. And when you need us, we're here for you right here at home. Our customer service is 100% US-based because we believe that support should come from people who understand you and your values. At Patriot Mobile, you're not just another call, you're a priority. In today's world, where you spend your money matters more than ever, every dollar is a vote for the kind of future you want to build. Join the thousands of Americans making a difference with every call, every text, and every connection. Choose a company that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.
Switch today and get 1 month of service absolutely free by going to patriotmobile.com/reason.
When reason meets radio. This is the voice of reason with Andy Hooser.
We'll have to evaluate the totality of the package that emerges from the Senate. I think the most important thing right now is to separate out the 5 bills that are bipartisan to avoid those departments which are critical from shutting down. That includes protecting the health, the safety, and the well-being of the American people. At the same period of time, we've got to see if progress is really being made that's meaningful in dramatically reforming the way in which the Department of Homeland Security conducts itself. And if there's no agreement in the immediate term, what is the path to getting to an agreement that's bold and transformative?
Bold and transformative. That's Hakeem Jeffries. So that was on Saturday before they came to the quote-unquote bipartisan agreement from the Senate that shot it back over to the House. So they were still looking to see what that looked like. But the temporary funding of ICE for another 2 weeks to allow them to reform what the Department of Homeland Security looks like, that's kind of insane. We've now given Democrats power that they didn't have. The redemption seems to be working because they felt like they could try another government shutdown after the longest one in history back in October when they had to give it up with nothing to show for it. And I made the prediction last week. I think this was Chuck Schumer's way of this is going to make or break his entire political career. Does he run for re-election? Does he have any type of political capital left? Because that was a major blow to him back in October, November, when they finally came back up. And now this is their way to try it again. And for some reason, Republicans are like, all right, I guess we'll just reform this and shoot it back over to the House. There was some good news for that, though, and we'll get to it in just a minute. First, I want to tell you about my friends over at Lean and Brickhouse Nutrition. As you know, fad diets, they work temporarily, but they're hard on the body and they're really hard to sustain because you do the diet, then you go off the diet and you go back to your normal routine. It's called weight cycling, and half of Americans do it when you lose some pounds, 10 pounds or so, then put the pounds back on and add a little bit more. It's really tough on your body. It's really tough on your organs, and it probably leaves you really frustrated. Bottom line, most people need help losing weight, and here's a great way to do it with non-prescription Lean. Lean was created by doctors. It's an oral supplement, not an injection like the GLP-1s, and the science is really cool. Lean helps maintain healthy blood sugar, helps control your appetites and cravings, and helps you burn fat by converting it to energy. And when you burn fat, it keeps the weight off. I've been doing it since the beginning of the year, January 1. I feel amazing. If you want to lose meaningful weight at a healthy pace and keep it off, add Lean to your diet and your exercise lifestyle. And right now, for my listeners, get 20% off. Go to takelean.com, enter the promo code REASON, and get that 20% discount. Again, takelean.com. Use the promo code REASON, REASON, and do it right now. All right, here's the good news as we look at the conversation of the bill coming back to the House. Apparently, there's going to be a standoff, and while Mike Johnson's looking at a way to try and bring everybody together and get Republicans in order to vote for this thing again with the reforms, there's a potential attachment that we could see to shoot it back over to the Senate, and that is
what's trending today.
Coming with our friends over with Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna, where she says they will be attaching the SAVE Act to it. And if you don't know what the SAVE Act is, it is a muy bueno bill. I will tell you that one. Yeah, that one apparently is going to be requiring voter ID nationwide moving forward to make sure that illegal aliens are not voting in our system whatsoever, and that we are able to check that people aren't voting multiple times by mandating voter ID. And because of the bill coming back to the House, Anna Paulina Luna and other Republicans say, fine, you can reform this, but if it comes back to the House, we're attaching the SAVE Act to this appropriations bill, and that's the way it's coming back out of the House, or else it's not coming out of the House whatsoever. Chuck Schumer on the Senate side in a bit of a panic state. Hey, Chucky, you might want to cover up. I can see your desperation right now.
Short of workers, we have a population that is not reproducing it on its own with the same level that it used to. The only way we're going to have a great future in America is if we welcome and embrace immigrants, the dreamers, and all of them, because our ultimate goal is to help the dreamers, but get a path to citizenship for all 11 million or however many undocumented there are.
I love this response because this shows that they're on their heels. We're putting the SAVE Act in to ensure voter ID, so they have to start talking about amnesty. They have to start talking about ways to ensure the people that they've brought in for the last couple decades stay here and remain their voter base. I can smell the desperation, Chucky.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left finds new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back. And that's where we can help. Head to our website at HooserReason.com. There you can find our latest blog discussing topical issues of the day. Let us know your thoughts on current events with different surveys and chat rooms. And keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Plus, when you head to the website, you can always get great deals and different offers from all of our great radio partners. Finally, if you want more of the show, you can find our podcasts with all of our great episodes and your favorite guests. And make sure to check out the latest Voice of Reason infomercials and maybe some other special content. And it's all because of you being part of the Hoosier-holic family. Let's continue to fight for conservative common sense principles together by going to HooserReason.com. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.
truth, reason, and common sense. This is the voice of reason with Andy Hooser.
That is what's up. Welcome back into the program. Great to have you today for a Monday, setting that tone for the week and for the whole month of February. And I have to apologize to you profusely because with the whole convention I was part of this past weekend, emceeing the convention, moderating the first governor's debate here in Kansas, I completely did not get it finished, so it will be out in the next few days. But our newsletter usually comes out the first Monday of the month, which would have been today. It did not go out, so you still have a chance to sign up if you have not done so yet. You can go to our website, HooserReason.com, HOOSER Reason.com. That usually has our blog for the month and newsletter with information on the show and new affiliates and new partners and everything else. That will be coming out by the end of this week, so I will give you a couple days left. That's why I did it. Totally not because I was busy doing other things, but it's because I'm giving you a last-minute chance to try and sign up for the newsletter. Again, going to HooserReason.com. Again, HOOSER Reason.com. Also, you can find the podcast of the program on any of your favorite podcasting sites by going to typing in The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser. All right, let's get into our...
Let's go to the Hooser Media Hotline.
That's right. I don't want to waste any time, man. We got a great guest on the line. It's been a while since we've chatted with him. As you know, we have been following the MAHA movement, the Make America Healthy Again movement. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. killing it, man. Can we just say he's
winning?
Kind of winning on that one. We've seen the change in the food pyramid. We've now seen the changing of the childhood vaccine schedule, a great step in the right direction. Still have a long ways to go, but is it far enough? And what are some of the legal battles that we're seeing across the nation? I've mentioned it already. Many state health departments are pushing back against the new vaccine schedule, saying, no, we trust, and I say this in air quotes for our radio listeners, we trust the science, and therefore we're not going to be changing it because we want children to have like Hep A and Hep B shots. For some reason. I don't know why, but for some reason we're doing that. But where are we at right now with some of the legal battles across the nation? Happy to have on the program. He is a civil rights attorney and the founder of the We the Patriots USA organization. Brian Festa on the line with us here. Brian, how are you, my friend?
Great, Andy. How you doing?
Hey, doing great. Appreciate you coming on here. I got to start off by asking, are you surprised on the pushback that we're seeing right now from state health departments, from different organizations, even school districts right now on the changing of the childhood vaccine schedule? There's a lot of people that say, no, how dare you not make us take shots that are mandated by the government and big pharma? We want you to do that, so we're going to trust the science. Were you surprised by this pushback?
Not at all. Not one bit. Actually, I was interviewed by, and don't hate me for this, Andy, by a New York Times reporter last year. And hey, listen, there's no such thing as bad publicity. That's what they told me anyway.
Very true.
So I was interviewed by a Times reporter last November or December. It was right after, not last year, but actually in 24. It was right after Trump got reelected.
Sure.
And he had announced that he was appointing Bobby Kennedy to run HHS. And at that time, she asked me, what do you expect is going to happen if the CDC changes its childhood vaccine schedule, its vaccine guidelines? What do you think is going to happen? And my response was, well, I know what's going to happen. In states like my former home state of Connecticut, they're just going to immediately say that we can't trust the federal government anymore. We have to trust our own state-level health authorities, and they'll have basically a state-level CDC instead of a federal level. And she was blown away at the time, like, "Wow, really? You think that would happen?" That was such a surprising thing. Like, listen, have you been paying attention? This is their playbook. This is how they operate. It's never been about public health, Andy.
Right.
It's always been about politics and about power. And obviously, they were never going to let Bobby Kennedy and Donald Trump have any kind of power. Vaccines are their sacred cow, their golden calf, if you will. They worship at the altar of vaccinology. The attorney Aaron Siri has a great book out called Vaccines, Amen, and encourage people to check that out. And that's exactly what it's about, is basically how they've made it into a cult. They worship the science of vaccines, or what they tell you is the science of vaccines, and they're not going to let anybody change that. So, no, I'm not surprised at all.
No, you're absolutely right. They do really worship at that altar because we don't have a natural immune system. You have to have these, and even like we saw during COVID, you have to have it to protect others, even though others, if you're protected, then if someone else doesn't have it, then they can still give it to you, even though you took it and you're protected and they're not. You're still vulnerable for some reason. It's very strange how they try to reword a lot of this, which is crazy. Now, I will say, as the eternal optimist that I am, that bringing it back down to a state level, I guess, is good news, right? Because of the idea of federalism, maybe we can have a little bit more control and transparency and say in the matter at a state level as opposed to a federal government level. So if they're not wanting to trust the federal government CDC and the federal government saying, hey, do your thing, and states are going down this road, maybe that does expose a bit of their vulnerability of what we can start working on to reform at a state level, can't we?
Yes, I mean, absolutely. And I think so many more people have woken up now since COVID. They've dug into the real science of vaccines, the real potential harms, and they are potential. Not everyone gets the same side effect, right? Yes, even if the side effect is death, and there are vaccine deaths, yes, not everybody's going to get that, right? Obviously. So, you know, people started digging into it, though, and seeing that, wow, there's really a lot of stuff we didn't know, a lot of stuff we weren't told by our doctors, a lot of stuff, you know, the pharmaceutical industry, the media, the government never told us. And people are deeply distrustful now. And so it's, you know, it's been happening for a while. We see everything that's going on in Minnesota right now. And I don't just mean the riots, you know, the fraud, ICE, everything. But you see really this divided America. I'm sure you've talked about it a lot on your show, that really it almost seems like another civil war. I mean, it hasn't quite obviously gotten to the level of violence, and I hope it doesn't.
No, but it's a Cold War.
But as far as ideology, we're really almost there, I think.
Yeah, it's a Cold War, for sure. I mean, it's a silent war that we're going through right now. It's an ideological war, and who's going to come out on top? God forbid this turns into more of a physical violence, but they're trying it with a lot of the riots and anarchy that we're seeing in the streets right now. But right now, they're using up and they're propping up the legal system. Talk about this battle that you guys are going through, representing some vaccine-injured individuals, because this seems to be never-ending, and we never hear about these cases because the media won't talk about these cases because they don't want them out there to show that, yeah, there are actually a lot of vaccine-injured people out there.
Well, what we're doing right now, more than even just litigation, the thing we're working on right now is we're trying to petition Secretary Kennedy, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., to open up formal rulemaking. And I would encourage everyone, by the way, listening, if there's an action item that comes out of this call, please contact HHS, contact your local representatives, I should say, in Congress, and urge them to urge Secretary Kennedy to do this, because he is the one that has the authority to do this, to open up formal rulemaking to change the vaccine injury table. Now, what is that? That is something recorded in statute. It's actually part of, it comes from HHS rulemaking, though, and those are the vaccines on the childhood schedule that you must seek compensation through the vaccine court, the Vaccine Injury Compensation Program, commonly known as the vaccine court. Well, why is that a bad thing? Because it's notoriously difficult to obtain compensation, and even when you do, on the very rare cases that you would get all the way through and win a judgment, the awards are much, much smaller than they would be in regular federal court because of the liability protection, the immunity that the vaccine manufacturers have been given under the 1986 National Childhood Vaccine Injury Act. What the CDC did recently, on January 5th, so last month, beginning of last month, they amended their childhood schedule, I'm sure you know about this, to remove several of the shots that are recommended. So it went from 17 recommended for all children to just 6 that are recommended for routine use. Now, there's other categories of recommendations. Those are in high-risk populations or shared clinical decision-making. There's a lot more shots than that, but they took out, there were 17, and they reduced it to 11, and that's very, very important, but it did not remove them from the vaccine injury table, so they still have liability protection. I know this is getting into the legal weeds a little bit. I'm trying to make it as generic as possible, but that was only the first step. So you can reduce the number of recommended vaccines on the childhood immunization schedule, but until they're removed from the vaccine injury table, they still have that liability shield protection. Only $5.5 billion approximately has been awarded through the Vaccine Injury Compensation Program since it began in 1988.
Wow.
$5.5 billion may sound like a lot, but when you compare it, for instance, to the opioid crisis litigation, the settlements that have been reached just since 2021 total almost $60 billion.
Wow. That is, I knew it would be high, did not know it would be that high. And the protection's there. It's so wild that we allow this type of protection to be like, there's nothing you can do about it. You may be injured. Sorry about your luck, but we're not going to be liable for this in any way, shape, or form. Brian, we got to take a break in just a minute here, but in about 30 seconds, are you optimistic that we could finally start seeing these companies liable for this type of damage?
Yes, absolutely. If Secretary Kennedy does this, that's why it's so important. We sent a formal letter to his office about a week ago, a certified letter, and I've also followed up with my contacts via email in his office. If he opens up this rulemaking and that vaccine injury table is changed to remove those vaccines, they instantly become subject to liability. There will be a flood of litigation. And guess what that means, Andy? Yeah. They're not going to be pushing them. They're not going to be marketing them. The states aren't even going to be requiring them.
Yeah.
Doctors aren't going to be pushing them anymore because they would all be liable then.
Exactly. Yeah, they would all be liable. We could see, I know that we're pushing to try and end a lot of big pharma advertisements as well within the media. I think that would just go off on its own if they're trying to push something that they haven't shown to be clinically safe in some fashion multiple different times, and they're liable to what may happen. Look, every body is different. Every human being body is different, and it could be reactionary, so it's not going to be a blanket coverage like we've seen in the past. Brian, hang on the line. Got to take a break here. Brian Festa, We the Patriots USA. Lots more coming up. Stay here.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Big government is broken. Every year, politicians fail to pass a budget as the deficit continues to grow. Every month, unelected bureaucrats pile on rules no one voted for, strangling our economy. And every day, DC's broken system gets in the way of the American dream. Washington isn't working, and the people pay the price. At Americans for Prosperity, we believe it's time to fix the system. Now, join the movement to make government work.
As you know, I'm always looking for a good snack, but it's hard to find good quality snacks without all the unhealthy additives. But now that problem is over. It's time to enjoy J&S Smoked Snacks. Real cuts of beef, real wood smoke, and real flavor that's crafted in small batches to keep every bag fresh. I promise you'll be addicted. And with numerous different flavors, you'll never get enough. This is not your average gas station jerky. It's J&S Smoked Snacks. Find them online at jssmokedsnacks.com and tell them I sent you.
When you choose Patriot Mobile, you're not just picking a wireless provider. You're choosing a company that shares your values. It's easy to switch, and you can keep your number, your phone, and most importantly, your values. With Patriot Mobile, you get the power of nationwide coverage on all 3 major networks. That means wherever life takes you, we've got you covered on the same reliable networks you already know and trust. And when you need us, we're here for you right here at home. Our customer service is 100% US-based because we believe that support should come from people who understand you and your values. At Patriot Mobile, you're not just another call, you're a priority. In today's world, where you spend your money matters more than ever, every dollar is a vote for the kind of future you want to build. Join the thousands of Americans making a difference with every call, every text, and every connection. Choose a company that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.
Switch today and get 1 month of service absolutely free by going to patriotmobile.com/reason.
What fuels the freedom to dream bigger? Our country's greatest breakthroughs were born from bold ideas and the ability to take one small step forward. At Americans for Prosperity, freedom and opportunity find their defenders. Because our country's next giant leap is just around the corner. Are you ready to step up?
Hey, the live show may be almost over today, but it doesn't have to be for you. As always, enjoy the Voice of Reason with our daily podcast by finding the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser on any of your favorite podcasting sites. Just find us, subscribe, have it automatically downloaded, and listen at your convenience whenever you want to bring some more reason into your day. And a lot of people are doing it. Also, you can always find the video of the show, along with articles, additional commentary, and maybe a few sarcastic remarks by following us on our social media. Stay up to date with everything going on with the show, including upcoming guests, breaking news stories, interesting articles, and maybe some memes. Help us in the ongoing battle with censorship and shadow banning from social media by following us on the social media at Hooser Reason on all of our social media sites. For all these social media links, podcast links, contact information, or just general information of the show, go to our website at HooserReason.com. There you can listen live every day, read our latest monthly blog, find our radio affiliate list, or even listen to our latest infomercials and special content. Plus, you can always reach out to the program by sending me a message on social media, emailing us at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com, or sending an email through our website at HooserReason.com. Whether it's content on the show, whether it's a guest that you've liked or disliked, or whether you want to disagree with me, and disagreement's always appreciated. While you're there, make sure to sign up for our monthly newsletter. Each month, you'll get the latest update on the show, updates from the Hooser Media Network, and our latest blog discussing topical issues of the day. Finally, if you want to help support the show, become a member of our Patreon site and help us fight for the cause of truth, reason, and common sense every day, and get more of the same by becoming the ultimate Hoosierholic. Get additional interviews that sometimes we don't always get to air on the radio. Hear our special segments or even our infomercials before anyone else, and have a chance to chat with other great Hoosierholics from all over. By becoming a Patreon subscriber, you're not only helping the fight for conservative values, you're helping us get more content and information out through the Hooser Media Network. Find out more information online at HooserReason.com. Lastly, follow and support all of our partners with the show. The Voice of Reason has been growing more and more every year, and it's because of so many great partners helping us get the message out to you. From show partners to local radio affiliates in your area to streaming sites, podcasting sites, and more, we have so many supporters and listeners now than ever before, and we want to thank you. It's time to bring back common sense, and we do it right here every day with the Voice of Reason.
America's safe space for common sense. This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
I had was a Bible this big and a radio the same size in a 6x8 foot cell, and I believed that those two things could change my life. I believed that music had the power to change my life, and God had the power to change my life. And I want to tell y'all right now, Jesus is for everybody. Jesus is not owned by one political party. Jesus is not owned by no music label. Jesus is Jesus, and anybody can have a relationship with him. I love you, Lord.
All right, so that was Jelly Roll at the Grammys over the weekend on Sunday. That was pretty cool. I really enjoyed that. So obviously we got most of the left-wing rhetoric of defund ICE and blankety-blank ICE throughout the Grammys, but Jelly Roll kind of bringing it down, which was great. And I have to give kudos. I know you're going to laugh at me for this, but I don't really care. But one of my metal bands I really enjoy listening to, a band by the name of Spirit Box, I guess opened up the Grammys, and that was really cool. And it was one of their harder songs. It was very harsh vocals. That was cool.
That is the most metal thing I ever heard in my whole life.
Yeah, so you know what? Metal finally making its appearance in the Grammys, so well done on that one. Appreciate that very much. All right. By the way, we'll cover it probably tomorrow, happening just within the last hour. The Trump administration announcing in the White House what they're calling Project Vault. He is still taking questions, by the way, and discussing this. But Project Vault is now apparently the federal government collecting critical minerals, just like they do with oil, and having a critical minerals reserve to help out the auto industry, to help out with, I guess, valuable minerals that we just need, from zinc to a whole bunch of other things, not just like silver and gold, but some other ones. So we'll break that down tomorrow. Good idea, bad idea. Why is the government holding on as a reserve to these minerals? I find that kind of strange. So we'll break that down later. But right now,
what's trending today?
We are hanging out with Brian Festa. He's a civil rights attorney and founder of the We the Patriots USA organization, wethepatriotsusa.org, where you can find their information as we're talking about holding Big Pharma accountable and making them liable for vaccine injuries, which continue to happen across the nation. I've told you my story often here on this program. Mrs. Voice of Reason, my lovely bride, has lupus, and we are 95% sure it's because of the HPV shot that she got in high school, where she started having some serious autoimmune issues, and now she's been in the hospital multiple times. She has kidney stones frequently. It's led to sepsis many times. She's been on her deathbed more times than we can count, and thank God that we've ended a lot of that craziness, because now she's an herbalist, and she's gone down the holistic road and been able to manage a lot of her symptoms on her own. Brian, I can only imagine, you being a civil rights attorney and hearing these cases, how many people come to you and say, I've been affected by these types of things. Nope, did we lose Brian? Maybe we lost him. We'll try Brian. Brian, we'll see if we can't get you back on the line here. Are you there, my friend?
Sorry about that.
Oh, there we go. All right.
Yes. I'm here. I'm sorry. I think I had hit mute. I apologize.
No, you're good.
So yeah, too many, Andy. One is too many, but far too many. I'm sorry to hear that about your wife. God bless her. I'm glad she's healing and she has healed from this. My own son, I think I've told you before, was very seriously vaccine injured when he was only a year old after getting a flu shot. He regressed into autism, developed very serious autoimmune conditions and other disabilities, and really lifelong disabilities. Unfortunately, we've done a lot of natural things as well, and we have been able to heal him a great deal, but he still has some very serious challenges ahead of him because of the injury he sustained when he was only a year old. So it's all too common, and that's why I got involved in this. I actually wouldn't be talking to you right now if that hadn't happened. So the only silver lining I take away from my own personal vaccine injury story is that I've been able to help a lot of other people who have experienced similar loss and similar injury.
Yeah, and I guess that is the silver lining, is that so many people, you yourself, my wife, everybody else that's been able to turn around and bring an awareness to this, try and bring alternatives to the table and try and fight this, which leads me to, you made the prediction of what would happen when the CDC does change this vaccine schedule. I'd like you to make another prediction now, Brian. If RFK Jr. is able to do what you're advocating for him to do and make Big Pharma liable for these vaccine injuries, what's the future of Big Pharma look like when that does come to fruition?
Well, it's not going to be good for them because they have made a tremendous amount of money off of it. I mean, it's actually no laughing matter because it's been at a tremendous human cost, right? A cost of life, a cost of health. But what's going to happen ultimately is they're not going to be able to market these anymore. RFK is already pushing to stop vaccine advertising, but beyond that, they're not going to want to because they're not going to have the liability shield anymore. And quite frankly, I can't imagine any doctor knowing that he or she could also be subject to a lawsuit if there's an injury or death. I can't imagine them recommending these, knowing what they know, knowing
it's
a whole different world, and these
totally
states
different
aren't going to be able to mandate them anymore.
That's it, Brian. I love it, my friend. We're out of time. I could talk to you about this forever. We got to get you back on the show again soon, my friend, but God bless. Keep up this great work.
God bless you. If anyone wants to check us out, it's wethepatriotsusa.org.
Go and check it out. I love it. We're back at it again tomorrow for a Tuesday. Until then, we'll see you back on the radio soon. Bye. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. You know, when I get off the air every day, the battle for me against limited government, censorship, and even unfactual content is far from over. That's why now I'm so happy to say that the Hooser Media Network is giving you more opportunity to catch the voice of reason along with other great shows and podcasts. It's been a long time in the works, and now you can finally enjoy more great content, services, and topical shows. We're the safe space for alternative talk, information, and ideas that the mainstream media absolutely hates. From holistic and alternative medicine, discussions on religion and spirituality, pure entertainment shows, and of course yours truly with the voice of reason. Plus, we offer numerous media services, including helping you set up your own podcast. Become your own voice of reason and bring your expertise to any fun issue or topic. For information on all of our shows, links to podcasts, each show website or social media link, or to find out about everything we do to challenge the mainstream establishment, visit our website at HooserMedia.com. Again, that's HooserMedia.com, the future of media.